I am Zero. This is my Twitch. Oh my god, there's a kitty cat. You guys can't see this though
I
because of
know.
the way I have the
Oh,
trimmed.
here.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a
There we
floof.
go. She's very upset,
Oh,
but
fair enough. A brief floof. Okay, so I
yeah,
am
she'll be back.
Zero. Zero does stuff. This is my guest Miah from the Monsters Playbook podcast.
Hello.
If you don't know what that is, you should go find out because I have just put it in the chatty box. Anyway, let's get this show fucking started because oh my god. So Miah, who are you?
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. What do we need to know?
Yeah. I think one of the top things you need to know is that I am a dice goblin. Uh, I have, I think, over 500 dice. You can kind of, oh no, you can't see them in this shot. Well, I have dice, lots of dice.
Five,
But I
500.
am over 500. I just ordered a bunch more recently, so it's definitely over 500. Um, but the reason why you're actually here is I am a player and editor of the Monsters Playbook, a real play Monster of the Week podcast. I kind of like to say, imagine Supernatural, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the Dresden Files rolled into one CW show, except with maybe more crying. Um, it's we get into some really deep stuff, and the stories that we share are really great. And for me, the reason that I play it, besides playing with my friends and my fiance, is just like these stories that we get to tell. And I hope that like it touches other people. Like that's why I play TTRPGs, and also why like I'm an editor, like I'm a video editor in the real world. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. If the followers don't know, I know you have a special magical button that gives information about the podcast in chat. But you can find the Monsters Playbook on Facebook and Instagram at Monsters Playbook, and on Twitter at Monster Playbook because Twitter reasons. And we also have a Discord channel, so you can find us there. We love new people, and we talk about everything. So yeah, that's kind of me.
Awesome. I'm really curious about your Discord channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it big? Do you guys all hang out and talk with everyone, or do you have grumpy people in the podcast who are like, I don't want to talk to them
We
people?
have a ton of amazing people. Like, Lauren and I are almost in there constantly. Johnny and John pop in every once in a while, but we talk about like my favorite days or episode days. We release bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So our next new episode is this Tuesday. And you know that it's an episode day when people start like live reacting to episodes, and it's so cool to hear people like freak out about our characters and like the story and all of that. It's very weird. It's very weird that like, oh, these people are listening to our to me to like this game and stuff. But yeah, we talk about the episodes, we talk about food, we talk about music, game recommendations. We do have one channel that's like grind my gears because everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Lauren and I, Lauren and I stream Overcooked every once in a while.
Mm.
So if you want to get stressed and watch other people cook, join us. I think that Lauren is going to be doing some Sims stuff. She's been making Kira, her character in our podcast, like made her and like the house, and it's very cute. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm not really a computer gamer, so I am aware of all these things you were mentioning, like Overcooked
Hmm.
and The Sims and stuff. But maybe this is something I should do. I've been toying with the idea of getting our own Discord because at the moment we're in the Cast Junkies Discord, and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
ooh, but you more control. But then I have to worry about Sean, and you guys said that your podcast is more lots of crying like the CW, but more crying, whereas my podcast is more not so much crying. It's more laughing and
Nope.
innuendo and drunk Sean, basically. So
We
yeah.
we do that sometimes, or at least Lauren and I try. There are moments when her and I are definitely like 7 or 12 year olds, and Johnny's just like, "Stop it!" Like he gets mad at us, but like words are funny sometimes, as well as like I do stumble over my own words, but we like to have fun, and it's just a great time. Like, I think compared to maybe some of the other Monster of the Week podcasts out there, ours has a bit more drama. I would say it's like drama, some humor, and then some crying. Like, it definitely sways both ways, and um we have some characters and NPCs that really like lift the mood. So I'm not saying it's all like dark and sad and like we're always crying, because we're not. But we do get like into some real topics, and just want to have as realistic of characters as possible, because I don't know about you, but when I'm reading a book or watching a show, like I don't want a character to like have a significant person in their life die and then be fine the next
Yeah,
episode. Like, that's
yeah.
not how life works.
It's not a sitcom, it's a
Yeah.
serial.
Yes. Yeah. So it is, we are also in the Cast Junkie server. I think most of the people who were there have followed us to our channel, which is lovely. They're all super nice and friendly. Like, if we're busy, they introduce new people that come in, and we're just like, oh, it's so sweet. They're like, they're just as welcoming and friendly as us. I love our listeners. They're so nice. And like, oh, you can't see, it's out of shot, but like a local person in Minnesota, she drew a picture of Theo and gave it to me. It's our like first fan art, and I framed it. It's, you can't see it on the Twitch stream, but it's
Oh
on
my
my shelf.
god. I'm
It's
so
so cute.
jealous. We haven't
Yeah, I
received
love it.
we haven't received any fan art. I'm like, we'll know we've made it when we get fan art from someone, but so far this has not happened. I just want to interrupt for a moment to say
Yeah.
we've got a hype train, and for those who don't know, what that means is that people have started throwing bits and subs around. So
Wow.
I just want to take a moment to thank everyone. And also welcome all of the new first time chatters who I think are probably fans of you, considering how Ventifoot was screaming out, Miah! Just earlier. Um,
Yeah. She's guesting currently on our new episodes. She plays Tiff Torres, a ears agent, and they have a little bit of a backstory and history with my character Casey Davis. So
interesting, interesting.
yeah.
Yep. I want to come back to ears in a moment, but I think I need to thank every single person so far. I'm just seeing we've gotten bits from the real POTUS, from Dixon. Dixon is also subscribed. Who else? Who else? I know there's a lot. I saw a wall of it. Onyx Robot is subscribed. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Serif Lind? Has gifted
Yep.
8 subs to Laura MCM, Fun Installers, Murphy Pop Art, Rosenberger, O Creative 112, JR the Hiker Bear, the Fedora King, and Dark Jaguar 8. Oh my god, thank you so much.
If I can I shout out Thriftland real
Yeah,
fast?
yeah.
So he's written several Monster of the Week stories, like modules.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I just noticed my door creepily closed by itself. Oh, it's just a cat. Um, but he wrote one that we have actually played called Murder on the Dance Floor.
Uh-huh.
And it has been a long time coming, but it's going to be dropping in August. We played it, and it's awesome. It's so much fun. It was really great. Thank you so much, Sir Flynn, for creating that story. And I know there's a couple of other ones, but we had a ball playing it. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I definitely have some Sean moments. I'll just drop that.
Oh, and I believe he's
So
also written a mystery that was included in the Monster of the Week Tome of Mysteries, which you guys can
yeah.
get, I think, for $12 American from like Drive Through RPG and all those places like that. So go check that out. Now, going back, what is ears?
Yes.
What does ears stand for? That's so weird, out of context.
Yeah. So ears. Oh boy, EAR stands for Extra Normal Analysis and Reconnaissance Society. So essentially think of like Men in Black.
Uh huh.
Um, and yeah, Casey and her brother Jesse work for EARS. They're EARS agents. And yeah, right now we're so our podcast starts in season 2 because when we got together and started playing this game, it was right before the pandemic, and it was funny how it started. So John and Johnny worked together,
Mm-hmm.
and I never met Johnny before. And hold on,
And a
I'm
cat.
sorry. This, yeah, she locked herself in here. I don't know if that was getting picked up on the microphone, but
I could hear at least.
here a
But
little bit.
I
Yes.
know that my watchers totally love cats, which is why we have Ricky emotes. Ricky is my cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll post some info in the chatty box for people to see about Ricky. He's not inside at the moment, so you won't see him. But yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Johnny and John work together, and I believe John mentioned to Johnny that like, oh, my girlfriend at the time like loves D&D, and Johnny was just like, oh, like if you get a group together, like I'll run a game for you, like Monster of the Week. And John's like, sure. And I bugged John from there on, like forever. So when are we gonna play? When are we gonna play? When are we gonna play?
Mm-hmm.
So we finally got together. Only John knew Johnny, and I invited Lauren, so I only knew Lauren. So it was a very strange conglomeration of like strangers, and just
Yeah.
like, okay, we're gonna play this game. And essentially, I started playing Casey Davis, and Johnny had laid out and printed some of the playbooks, and essentially we had to choose from there. It was kind of a free for all between the three of us, and I drifted towards the professional playbook because I wanted to be a badass, like secret agent, and felt
Yeah.
inspired by the Mercy Thompson book series, the Dresden Files book series, and I created Casey based on like Karen Murphy, if you're familiar with the Dresden
Yes.
Files,
Yes. Yeah.
just like a cooler person than me, I guess. But yeah, we started playing, but like as we all know about TTRPGs, it's hard to do scheduling. So we would meet in Johnny's party room in his apartment, maybe once a month. And then, as the world knows, the pandemic happened, and we suddenly were like, "Hey, we have free time. Do you want to meet via like video?" And once a month ended up being every single week. And as Johnny likes to say, we really went through like best friend boot camp. Like I couldn't imagine my life without Lauren and Johnny, and it was great. They're awesome. They're amazing storytellers. I couldn't have done it with anybody else. So, and we started the podcast because I lost my job, and for fun, we started recording our episodes when we started season 2. So that's why we don't have a season 1. Is we didn't record any of it. We just did it for ourselves, but I started editing just for fun the episodes, and that turned into like full-time job. And I was like, hey, I'm doing this anyways. Do you want to just do a podcast? So that's kind of how our podcast was born. Kind of a long answer to your question of like, what is ears? Um, but
That's
yeah,
fine. That means I don't have to
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
So
But yeah,
you said in order for us to know how your character creation process worked for your characters on the Monsters playbook, we needed to know something about the formation of Monsters playbook. Did you just cover that, or is there anything else you
I
need to add?
did. Yeah, I did. Like, I think I don't have the original playbook in front of me, but I remember getting the professional like playbook, and Johnny was like, okay, spend 30-45 minutes and um figure out your character. And I was just like, hey, Karen Murphy, but me. Um, and I wrote some like random stuff on the back. Like I ended up taking the mobility move. And so I'm just like, okay, I have a Volkswagen bus, and it is temperamental. Its name is Cosmo because it's dark blue and somebody spilt white paint on it that looks like the cosmos. And I also had wrote down like I have a brother. And what I'm kind of notorious for doing is like getting maybe a little bit into detail, as you
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort of know. But like I created a whole family tree kind of for Casey, like her mom and dad, her cousins. So yeah, it all kind of started from there with like a few ideas, and then it started branching from that. Like ears was Johnny's idea. I didn't know anything about ears besides like that we had offices all over the place and that we had weird tech and I had hostile superiors. So
Oh, of course. I
yeah,
mean,
and like I guess like the thing that I really love about Monster Week that like makes the starting of the creation of the character just like so much different, so much more different than D&D is the like history, those bonds. Cuz like I feel like with D&D you start in a bar. Okay, cool. Like how are you going to do that? But I know for Casey, my bonds to Mark, who John plays, is that he was on the agency watch list and that we were keeping an eye on him. And then for Lauren's character, Kira, I had to go deal with them because they're a hazard to the agency. And I think we kind of worked into that backstory that I almost shot Kira, which becomes a reoccurring theme in our show. I might have shot Kira a few times, but I was possessed. That's not my fault.
well, that's happened in my
But yeah, I
podcast
love.
a few times too, so it's not that unique, accidentally shooting a member and a fellow hunter, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, and technically it wasn't my fault. It was Johnny's fault. He had a ghost possess me, and then Casey's just easily startled. So
I get
yeah,
the feeling you just failed your role for fighting position. So that's kind of your fault as opposed to Johnny's fault.
well, see, the thing is that I don't really remember. Lauren might be able. I know she's in the chat, so she might be able to scream it out. But I feel like I adore my favorite move. If I could have it for any and every character, I would is bottle it up from the professional, where I get to use points towards my action under pressure, but then the keeper gets those points to use on all the other moves whenever they want. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
So
That's
your
my
fault then.
assumption.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Your
Johnny's
fault.
fault. It's Johnny's fault that spoiler Casey's whole history gets wiped out, and that's how season 2 starts. It's not my fault. I rolled great, and then
Uh-huh.
Johnny's just like, "No, I'm using points." So not my fault. Never my fault.
You should always blame the keeper, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. He's the one that makes me cry and crushes our dreams.
I'd love to make my players cry. I mean, it hasn't happened yet. I can't do serious. Apparently, we recorded yesterday. I did make them go. That's about as serious a reaction as I've managed to get out of any of them. And
I think
no, I think there was a no. Otherwise,
at the end of
I just
go
get
ahead.
laughter and I hate you, Sarah. And sometimes Sean. That's usually Sean. It's always Sean. And sometimes he'll say, "I'll cut you."
Lauren and I are usually yelling at Johnny, like lots of like "fuck you, Johnny," and like oh, it always is like because he always ends. We always typically end our episodes with executive producer Johnny Grubb, and we're just like, no, like we want to keep playing. It's just so much fun. But yeah, I think you and Johnny are gonna need to meet up again, and he'll have to give you some pointers on how to make your players cry. I know that in August we will be releasing our book club episode where we had a couple of keepers, including you, on to talk about keepering. It's so good. Like, I hope you all listened to it. I loved watching it, and like maybe I just easily cry, but like you guys were like super inspirational and like
We made you
I don't
cry.
know, just had this there's so much like inspiring things. Like so Sarah was on, and then the keeper from Trial of the Apocalypse, David, he was on, as well as Susanna from Thornvale.
Thornville, yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys all got to talk. I was very jealous, but it's a very good episode. I really like it. I
Well,
can't wait for everybody to listen to it.
you'll just have to take a turn at being a keeper yourself so you can join the next group of keepers that you have on for this book club. So,
See, I run my own home game. I don't think I've made anybody
um,
cry, but I have done some gasps and just kind of like, oh crap. So, yeah.
yeah. Another one I get is Sarah. That's also from Sean, which is hypocritical of him. But yeah. And also, as Dixon's pointed out in the chat, phrasing. That happens a lot. But that's not always directed at me. That's, of course, also directed at Sean and some of our guests. I don't know if Celeste has ever gotten phrasing. Sean has said Celeste a few times, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we're just too dirty. We can't do serious, obviously.
Hmm. It's definitely like you gotta go with like what works for like your podcast. I don't think Johnny would ever let us go dirty or anything because when we do, he's just like he gets up and leaves. That's what I try to do. I either try and make Johnny just like take his glasses off and like face palm or leave the room. And I think I've successfully done it 3 times.
See, what you got to
So
do
very proud.
is flirt with an NPC and. Yeah.
I try, but I think Johnny usually shuts it down. But that's why I gotta flirt with my fiance, unlike the show, with my other character,
Ah.
Theo.
Dixon has said the most serious moment Redgate and Wolf ever had ended up with everyone trying to not crack up. Anyway, that was during a death scene. Oh my god. I had to edit out
Yeah,
so
I
much
remember that.
laughter. We can't even do death seriously. Oh my gosh. Okay. So should we start talking about your process? You've kind of talked about it already, how you've said you started with this and then you started thinking about the family tree and it branched out from there. But how does it usually start?
Yeah. So I think, and like sort of like thinking back to when I created Casey and then when I created Theo for the second episode or for the second season, excuse me. And that one was like also a little bit different. And I have to give Johnny props for his storytelling because with Theo, we didn't do the like bonds and histories. She was just sort of introduced and the hunters just kept crossing like crossing lines, just
Crossing
encountering her.
paths? Yeah.
Yeah, that. And also Theo just needed the hunters. Um,
Oh,
but I think yeah, she's a sad little burnt cinnamon roll. Um, when I'm creating a character, I usually try to think like look through the playbooks and figure out okay, like which ones interest me, which ones would I enjoy to play, and like if there's any inspiration. Like I said with Casey, the Dresden Files and the Mercy Thompson series really inspired me because they have some very strong female characters in it. And thinking about like, what do I want to enjoy playing? And like, I always wanted to be a badass, like secret agent with weapons and can defend herself. So that's kind of where Casey came from. And then for Theo, it just sort of happened that I don't remember the name of the book, but there's one of the Dresden File books that I was reading that was about uh Lith Lyle's the Spider Queen's like city or whatever, how there's different houses and they're like fighting to get to be like the top house or whatever, and that's where Theo's idea came from, that she's a magical mob. She comes from a magical mob family. And so
huh.
just kind of went off from that. And I think with that one I collaborated a little bit with Johnny and I was like, well, this is my basic idea, and then I built off of it. But it's really like which playbooks catch my attention, what I may be consuming as far as like on YouTube or Netflix, or maybe what am I reading, that's really interesting. And then, yeah, I just kind of choose what would be the most interesting moves. I feel like picking the moves on a playbook kind of guides me for like how I'm gonna take this character. And I try I try not to build the backstory too much because if you have it too like tight and like structured, then you might get disappointed when you're playing the game and you're like, "Oh, I really wanted it this way" and stuff, but like having ideas but then enough flexibility will be a lot more fun because then you can learn new things about your character that you didn't even think about, like I had named one of Casey's cousins Aaron, and in a season one mystery, it just happened that the scientist that we were encountering, his name was Aaron, and I'm like, or no, his name was Aaron Davis, and Johnny forgot that my character's last name was Davis, and I was like, "Is this my cousin?" And he's like, "It is now." So I think that's where it kind of starts, and then it snowballs into Pinterest boards and Spotify playlists and shipping and personal fanfic. I have many fanfic stories of Casey. So
Wait, wow. I didn't know about that you also shipped your characters and wrote fanfic about your characters. I knew about the Pinterest and the
yes.
Spotify playlist. You go even further than I thought. You go further than I
Yes.
go. I mean, I don't go that far to be perfectly honest, but wow. You literally create your
Yeah.
character and start shipping them immediately or
Not immediately. Hi, Grady. I don't know if Grady's. Come here. You came in here. You got to be on camera. See? Okay, now you want
Kitty.
to go. It's like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. I just want pets. Um, it's not immediately. I mean, there's a running joke that Casey slash I is very thirsty. Because yes,
The chat Wolfsbane9557 says she goes hard. It took at least 3 seconds. And Dixon says Casey X everyone and then in brackets except family. And Thirithland, oh my god, I'm never going to say that right. I'm
Lynn.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Says unleash the shipping goblin.
I mean, I will admit, in our latest episode that we played this past Wednesday, I did ship two characters that have been around for a while. I was like, why didn't I ship them before? Um, but for the record, Wolfbane is Lauren, so she's gonna call me out on all of my crap. But yes, as I was going to say, I think in our very first session, Johnny introduced a police officer, Officer Thomas, and I guess I had said like on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is he? And I think it was like a 7, but he was much older and like whatever. And he, I think in our season 1 finale, pops back up and like, yeah. But I do have a
Still
lot of ships.
a 7 and age. Could be more experience. I mean, I can see how you could ship these things, but oh wow. I mean, I joke about shipping, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I agree. For Casey, it takes a long, 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 long time to like ever find anybody or like maybe. Whereas for Theo, Johnny immediately pushed Theo towards Mark, which is my fiance John's character.
Uh-oh. I accidentally lost Miah. That's my folks. I seem to have wow, I lost I somehow lost. There we go.
Oh no.
You're back.
Meow.
Oh my god, I'm
I'm
so
back.
sorry. That was me
It's okay.
probably. You're back. Oh my god.
It's
Oh
okay.
my
You didn't
god.
need to hear what I just said.
Panic averted. Apparently we might. Wow.
No, it's fine.
This is a great, starting of an affiliate. I am so professional, folks.
Eh, So the beginning of our podcast, because like I said, it wasn't until maybe episode 10 that we actually were like, oh, we're professional official podcast. Up until that point, um, we would regularly eat on mic and drink. So like we finally are not anymore, but we're like everyone has those struggles. So I am triggered when I hear eating on microphone now. All the like lip smacking and stuff.
Oh yeah, that.
Um,
I really hate when
yeah.
Sean opens his mouth and he goes.
The lip smacking.
hate.
hmm
I'm like, oh my god. Also,
Yeah.
we have to call out dog whenever his dog starts making noise, and sometimes because he's got two of them, one of them is blind and deaf, and he'll start yelling at them and telling him things, and then they'll be like really close to the microphone, and you'll be like, shh, they'll make this noise like they're scratching, and that's not what it sounds like. And you're like, Sean, I think that's
Mhm.
something you should do in private when the microphone is not on. And he'll be like, it's the dog, I swear. I would not do that on the while we're recording. Uh-huh.
Our fluffy cat, the white one that you saw briefly,
Mm-hmm.
her name is Callie, but her nickname is the Cloud. So she favors John, so she'll sometimes come down to him, and she's also very talkative. So she will meow, and Johnny always likes to say, "Oh, little fog rolled in. See the little white little fluff."
Do you guys record all together or are you remotely?
So John and I live together because he and I are a couple. And then Johnny and Lauren, we all record remotely. So
Yeah.
ironically, I sit up here and
Yeah.
then John's office is in the basement, so he's a completely other setup. And then Lauren and Johnny also have their own, and Johnny also has talkative cats. I think he said that his orange cat is a mini pterodactyl, but he's so cute. He's very cute.
Wow. Okay. It flies around.
It screams.
Ah, yeah, got it. Yeah,
Hmm.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cats are great though for recording. Dogs, not so much.
Hmm. Yeah, we're not
Mm-mm-mm.
there yet.
Yeah.
Um,
I just
so
wanted
as
to
far as
say
yeah.
that you started out with, what was it, Casey first?
Yep.
Yeah, and you picked up Theo later. For those who don't really know Monster of the Week, you can level up so many times that one of the options you can pick is to have a second hunter. This is something I've done myself on another podcast, but that's not something you see on every podcast. So Miah here has picked up her second character, and it is. Do you play both at the same time, or do you have to just do
I
one
have.
for one mission?
Yeah. So all of season 2, it was both of them at the same time. And it was definitely challenging at the beginning, but it was easy. I don't want to say it was easy because in my mind it was hard, but I've gotten compliments on the different like tonal. I don't do voices whatsoever. Like I do my voice, and then the only like voice I can do is like a blonde like valley girl. Like that. Like, oh my god, your hair is so cute. But Casey is more like monotone and straightforward. Like I think she sounds more like my normal voice. Whereas Theo's like really, really high pitched and she talks really, really fast. Like that's the one thing I was like, Theo is ignorant and um talks really fast and has a high pitched voice. It can go a million miles an hour. Whereas Casey's is, I don't want to say slower, but just more straightforward. Um, but yeah, there have been times where I've had to talk to myself, which is weird. But then like adding in the like, okay, well, Theo says this or Theo says that. That's been helpful. So it's not confusing, but like, okay, wait, who's talking? But with the slight kind of tonal sound or like what they say helps a lot. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's nice to like branch out and play something else in the game. Like I love shooting. I have maxed out AC to a point where she can do 14, 16 damage. Um
Oh, what?
yeah.
In one
Uh
go?
yes.
Oh my
Yep.
god! You must be a
I think it's something
nightmare for your
that
keeper.
well remember, I have bottled it up and I am not shy for using that.
Wow.
Um Whereas Theo is predominantly magical, and whenever she has a gun, but I think almost every single time I've tried to use that gun, it's failed. Uh, so yeah, it's fun playing two characters. I would recommend it. Like it's definitely challenging, but it's a lot of fun and switching between the two different mindsets and the two different stories. It's fun to explore those two different things and like interacting with others. Yeah.
Yeah, I find when I'm a player playing a hunter, I don't vary my voices too much because I do some voices as a keeper because you've got to
Hmm.
if you're playing that many NPCs you've got the like you said the tone, the speed, the word choice. If you can do an accent, that's fine, but other than that, sometimes you've got to throw in a completely different sounding voice to do that. But when I find when I'm a player, I don't do too much of the voices
Yeah.
because you've got to do it for a longer period of time than just an NPC being on for one scene. So that's when the tone, the speed, and the word choice is more of a thing like me. And when I was playing two characters, I had a 40-year-old chosen woman who was blunt to the point, just liked to stab things, wasn't interested in researching or anything. And my second character was a 15-year-old spooky girl who could talk to dead people. So she was faster, she was
Yeah.
bouncier, she was weirder. And that was how I differentiated between the two different characters there. And also the 15-year-old was more. I ended up being more of the comic relief at that point, which is very
Yeah.
different to the other more serious. I've just got to kill things because fuck it. This I'm really over it. I've just kill it and let's go home and get drunk. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the personality, like Casey and Theo are two different personalities. Like, um, for me, when I created Theo, I took inspiration from the Dresden Files again, initially from The Apprentice Molly.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but like looking back at it now, she doesn't have a lot of characteristics that are maybe like, I don't know, it's been a while since I've read the books, but Theo sort of got created into its own thing. And with her, I kind of had just told Johnny, like, she's in a magical mob boss family. This is her family. This is the deal with Theo, and that's it. And then Johnny sort of created all the things around it. And like when we're playing the game, he and I just come up with things. I mean, same with John and Lauren. John is the curveball in our podcast. He'll be like, "Is there a gumball machine outside?" And it's just like, what? And John's character always likes to go shopping, ironically. But like those are like the memorable things for the characters. Like I'm never going to forget when Theo's one of Theo's brothers was first introduced, because I had told Johnny, like, I don't think that Theo and this brother has like a good connection and he's kind of a bully, but the way that Johnny plays this character, like I can feel Theo's terror. Like I described it as like a scared bunny. Um, so yeah, I Theo is very like kind of ignorant to the world. Casey is very much a leader and wants to lead, and and like the fun thing about this game, and at least with like our podcast, is that these characters have really changed from day one to the future. I mean, like I said, Casey used to be very hard line, like hunt monsters, like do not trust monsters. But then now in season two, Kira Ashwood is her best friend, and Kira Ashwood has wings, and she's like almost the definition of like a physical monster. And it totally
Mm.
like changed Casey's point of view. Um, and Theo's slowly getting there. Theo's point of view is, I want to get out of this family and I want to have my own life. I want to do this thing. But then she ran into these group of hunters and they're changing her perspective. And it's a lot of fun to think like, oh, I'm gonna totally go this way. Like Theo's totally gonna leave her family and she's gonna do her own thing and it's gonna be awesome. But that's not where the story goes. And that's
Yeah.
what's like a lot of fun with the characters.
That ties into a story writing type thing where you have your protagonist and you start out with what it is they want, and that's the goal they're trying to work towards to get to the end of the story. By the time they get to the end of the story, though, it's no longer what they want, it's more what they need, which can be completely
Yes.
different to what they want.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm trying, like, there's so many spoilers I want to say, but I can't. So I'm trying to think of like super easy ones. Um, um, I mean, the easier one I can think of is Casey. Right now, I mean, a little bit of a spoiler ahead, but right now, Casey and the team are struggling, are fighting against. There's an organization called Drums,
Drums.
that has
Okay.
infiltrated. Yep, that has infiltrated ears. Because there are drums in ears.
You can
I
hear
did
the
not
drums.
realize
Yeah.
that. I did not realize that till a year and a half. Johnny introduced it. Like we were talking about it recently, and I was like, "What? Is you didn't know that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't put that together." Johnny is very sneaky. But so the team is trying to essentially defeat the drums and trying to figure out how to do that. And I think for one whole mystery arc, Casey's like, no, 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 no. Like this person like can't be bad. Like Ears is good. Ear like this is why I joined Ears is to fight the bad guys. Now you're telling me that the bad guys might be the people I'm a part of. Like Casey struggles with that throughout the whole thing, and I really love being able to like explore that and change like kind of a point of change in like the character, like you were saying, like progressing her that sometimes the actual monsters are the humans and not the monsters.
And that's
So
part of the little blurb for the Monsters Playbook, isn't
yes.
it? But that's the great thing about Monster of the Week, though, is that you have playbooks, and each playbook is essentially a common archetype found in those types of Monster of the Week stories. Like in Buffy, you've got Willow, who's essentially the spell slinger. You've got
Yep.
Giles, who is your expert.
Mhm.
That you've got Buffy's as the chosen, and they start out. You start out with the playbook. You start out with an archetype, but as you play and interact with the other hunters and the monsters, and the story happens around them, they grow into much more three-dimensional individuals who could grow completely away from the Karen Murphy that you started with, or the
Oh
Buffy
yeah.
Summers, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because, like I said, like Casey started as the professional, so she worked for this organization, very Men in Black. She worked for years, but then in season two, around the beginning, she became the Flake, so the person that has the board of like strings or whatever, and that makes sense because we're trying to figure out the drum and what this is. Uh, so I'm guessing that you played D&D or maybe started in D&D. That's where I started in TTRPG, and I had the very bad habit of multi-classing. And I think it's just because like I wanted all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things, and the thing that thinking about coming and talking to you, I was just like, okay, like I have characters that I played in D&D that I did enjoy, but the difference between them and Casey and Theo is that I wasn't really in it. Like what I really love is like, oh, this thing, this personality trait of Casey and Theo, that's very me. I can be very stubborn sometimes, or I can be very uh soft spoken and unsure of myself. Whereas when I played a tabaxi that was a brothel owner and was a sorcerer, paladin, and then something else, like I'm not a brothel worker or owner. Like it was fun to play, it was fun to be flirty, but like I enjoy the flexibility that Monster of the Week and the character creation gives you rather
Yeah.
than D&D seems very a little bit more
Rigid.
inflexible. Yeah,
Yeah,
rigid.
it's rigid. Because what I would like to do with D&D almost is go, I'll take level 1 in cleric, level 2 in rogue, but literally the second level of rogue, not the first level of rogue.
Yeah.
And then you get to level 5, you're like, oh, I'll go back and I'll just take level 5 of clerics. I've got level 1 in cleric, level 5 in cleric, level 2 in rogue, level 3
Mhm.
in rogue, level 4 in fighter or something like that. It's kind of like I
Yep.
want to mix and match more than what it gives to better reflect
Yeah.
the progression of my characters going in. Like, oh, she's a cleric who's now hanging out with a group of rogues. Of course, she's going to pick up level 2 rogue type things. It's more
Yeah.
mechanic driven, I feel, D&D, as opposed to the more flexible role play driven aspect of Monster of the Week. And also with Monster of the Week, I found you plot together more in private with your keeper, especially if it's a longer running campaign as opposed to a one shot. And you're like, you work out more about your character and how they fit into the world. And then the keeper goes, I will take these ideas you've given me and I will do evil things and put them into the world over here. So it's
Yeah.
much more. D&D sort of does that to a point, but Monster of the Week really takes it and runs with it. So it's
Yeah.
more on everyone at the table as opposed to rules, really.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a good oh, the word literally just left my mind. Comparison, but like I feel like with D&D, you are a character within this world that the keeper made. Whereas with Monster of the Week, your character like kind of is the world. Like you're having, I feel like, more impact. At least I mean, for the Monsters Playbook podcast, I feel like we have a lot of impact and influence on the world that's happening around us. Like Casey has this love interest from her past in high school, and the only reason that that ever came up is that after a game of playing, Johnny and Lauren and I were just like chatting and talking about the story, and I was like, you know what? I think Casey had a girlfriend like in the past, and Johnny's like, oh yeah,
Tell me more.
tell me about her. And I was like, well. And then Johnny uses it against me and freaking brings her back.
Yep, of course.
Uh, so yeah, I can't I can't say it enough that Johnny is an amazing storyteller. Like the story that he's created and put us in, and the way that he supports our characters and intertwines our story into it is like very amazing. Like when I started running my game, I was like, okay, I gotta plan this all out. Like, you can't do that with
No.
Monster of the Week. Like, be like, okay, this is the monster that they're gonna fight. These are the things that'll like will push it forward, and like these are some events that might happen. Like, I went from extreme trying to figure it out to like not as much playing my game, and I'll always be like, Johnny, I understand. I get it now. Like, I understand your wisdom. I understand when you say like, I don't know anything about the Magia. I'm still figuring it out. Like why that is. Like you don't need to have everything figured out. Same with the characters too. Like I didn't figure out that Casey was bisexual until like the middle of season 1 and more like affirming it more in season 2. I wasn't just like Casey Davis, definitely bisexual. I figured it out as it goes along. Like that's the best thing. Like
I did ask
learning and figuring out your character.
I did ask my hunters that. I was like, okay, so I just curious. And I got Celeste said that Marie bisexual. I was like, okay, cool. And Sean was like, probably straight. So that's what I put in the character sheets. Because we use Roll20. So when the character sheet comes
Mhm.
up, there's a picture of them, the character name, and their sexuality. But I also, as we progressed on, I had to go back and put a line through, probably for Sean's character, to definitely straight. Because of the way it just
Yeah.
played out. You don't like the gay guy hitting on you. That is sad. Oh, well, definitely straight.
It's still very amusing. I still enjoy whenever Joel and Angus interact. It is very
Oh,
funny. And I'm
well,
just
you'll
like,
love
ah,
what we just recorded yesterday.
wait. I cannot wait. But like, I mean, kind of same with that. I mean, that can also go with like family goals. Like, I didn't go, I mean, I guess kind of, I thought with Casey, I'm just like, she's very family oriented. And ironically, I think I figured this out in a conversation with Johnny. Both of my characters, Casey and Theo, are the youngest of their family. I am the oldest of my family. And subconsciously, I think I made that because I I wanted this character to be like taken care of. Like Casey puts on a very strong front. Like she's a Taurus, so like she's a leader. She doesn't easily express her feelings,
Wait, your characters have star signs too?
as well as enneagrams. I know what their numbers are. If you're familiar with enneagrams, essentially it's your personality. So like there's 1 through 9. Um, So for me personally, Miah, so I'm a 2. Twos mean like they're helpful and that they love just like helping and supporting other people. And there are these numbers that are associated with like when you're stressed, you're more of a this other personality number, and when you're like growing, you're this other personality and number. Ironically, the number when I'm stressed is an 8, and that's Casey. Casey is actually an 8. Like Lauren and I actually took the test as our characters in some NPCs. And
We've
then
done that too. We've taken some
yeah.
tests, random internet tests. Like, what would you? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And then for me, when I'm in like growth and like succeeding and feeling good, I'm more of a 4. Theo also happens to be a 4, like when I took her test. So that was really interesting. But like that, I don't know, kind of gave me insight. You don't have to do that. Don't do it if you want. Don't be like, I'm gonna make a character and totally like see what their star sign is or like whatever. But it just gave me personal insight into like how Casey would act. And I'm not saying like, okay, only act like that. Like Casey has had her moments of like crazy like things. Like I can't talk about it, but there's a very funny moment in a restaurant that happens that was just like Casey needs a break. Let's have some fun. Same with Theo. Theo I think the episode is out where she and Mark are talking to a ghost. And I just like the ghost had died in a McDonald's parking lot.
Oh.
And Theo is like, so you're not loving it?
With their
It was so good.
groans.
Johnny had to step away from the desk for a little bit. Um, but I mean, whatever like inspires you with your character, like I really enjoy knowing when their birth date is, or if they're a Taurus or a Libra. Same with like a Pinterest board. I know like you and I have sort of talked about it, but I have a huge Pinterest board for both
What do you
Casey
put
and Theo.
on Pinterest boards for your characters?
So for me, I started very chaotic and was throwing so I started with Casey, obviously. And I was just throwing on just one board, just random pictures that I was like, oh, this feels like Casey, mostly like how she looked. And then I discovered that you can break it up. You can have like a board and then have like more organized boards in there. So for me, I kind of have it up on my other screen. Some of the things are just like it's most one of the first things was like, what's Casey's house look like? Because it came out in like RP and during the story that like her home is really important to her. It's her sanctuary. And so I have a few houses on my Pinterest board, as well as just some like images of like girls who I think look like Casey or have an attitude like Casey.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I have like because Casey has a like 9mm gun, so I have some guns pinned in case that ever came up in RP, and then just like outfit ideas, and then some boards for my shipping for Casey.
All right. Yep.
So
A whole
so
board
yes.
for shipping. Is it just random guys on the internet you find that they would find attractive, or how does this
So
work?
it's it's mostly like because Pinterest will like kind of populate some. It's like, oh, you really liked these pictures. Here's some similar ones. So like I have a board for Tessa Jones, which is Casey's high school sweetheart, which is the character that has come back. So I have some images pins of like what Tessa might look like, as well as like some quotes that I feel like represents either her or the relationship. Um, I have like a board that's just like quotes that I feel like I relate to with Casey to kind of help get into the mindset
Hmm.
before a game. I have I might have a Tiff Torres board, which are images of what Sarah's character, our recent guest,
Hmm.
uh, what she looks like. I have a Nick Sparks board. I have a Casey board, and I also have a board of Casey's brother Jesse. So, and the Theo's is a lot more, but
Wow. Okay, okay. We'll move on to Spotify then. What kind of music do you put on for this?
that one it's not as like I don't want to say not intentional, but it's more like, oh, when I come across a song while I'm doing something, oh, this really resonates for me with this character. Like the whole song doesn't necessarily like match the character perfectly. Like there might be like a line of dialogue or just like the vibe. And I'll add that to my character playlist or ship playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I do want to say the very first song I added for Casey's was mostly geared towards Johnny. It's called From the Heart, parentheses, I Hate You. I don't know if you've heard the song, but it's just like, I fucking hate you.
Oh, okay.
So that's more geared towards like Johnny. But like that's the first song on like my Casey playlist. Casey's is more, I don't know, rock and sad. When I personally listen, okay, so Casey's playlist has 103 songs. That's
Hmm.
about 6 hours of listening. But when I listen through it, I can tell like, oh, Casey was like going through this, or Casey was going through this. Like it kind of follows what's happened in the story, and I think that's really cool. I'd be like, oh, like I don't know when you listen to a song that you may have listened to when you're younger, and that like brings you back to that moment.
Mm.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like how I feel with like some of the songs, and at least my Casey playlist. Theo's is a little bit shorter, but hers is more sad because she's a burnt cinnamon roll. But
Burnt
yeah, they're
cinnamon roll.
mostly
Okay. So you
yeah.
compare them to food now too. Wow.
That was Johnny. Johnny had used that I think when I was talking about Theo once in like the game. I was like, "Oh, you sweet little cinnamon roll." Just like cuz she although she's I believe 5'8", she just has like small energy. Small sad energy.
Okay. Hey, if anyone watching has any questions, that'll be great as we go along. I think it's probably time for us to start making a character, though, which will also
Oh
require
boy.
audience suggestions. As we will bring up the PDF of just the main playbooks, the ones that are available in the Monster of the Week rulebook, so that we limit ourselves somewhat. Not that much, obviously, but somewhat. Now let's see if
There
this
are a
will
lot of great
work.
there's a lot of great playbooks in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
general
basic
one.
ones.
Yeah.
Hokadoka. So we will take you through what's available for those. It's very handy for those who don't know. But I guess we'll just start with The Chosen. Obvious example here is Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a good example there. I'll quickly read out, your birth was prophesized. You are the chosen one, and with your abilities you can save the world. If you fail, all will be destroyed. It all rests on you. Only you.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure. But there's the obvious things like, let's say you've got a fate that'll be decided. Um, you get things like Destiny's Plaything. You're here for a reason. These are all basic moves that will help you. So as well as the basic moves that every hunter has, they kick some ass, act under pressure, investigate a mystery, or whatever it is. Each playbook will have its own moves that are geared specifically for this archetype. So you've got things like the big entrance to be showy. Some of them might have things that you need to roll for. Others will just give them to you when you use them. And you start out with, in this case of the chosen, it gives you 2 that you have automatically, and then you've got to pick 1. So this is where you start to flavor your chosen, so they are not just Buffy summons. Well, mechanically flavor them. Obviously, you may be like story first, you create the character's personality or whatever it is, and then come here. Or if you can start by working your way through this sheet and it'll help you build who your character is. But yeah, but you get some really cool weapons and stuff like that. So that's one option. And we will move along to the crooked. This is usually your thief, your assassin type. Who would be a good example of this from pop culture? I can't think of anyone off the
Oh,
top of my head. Anyone got any
yeah.
ideas?
And I'm unfortunately very bad at thinking of like how it applies.
Yeah, I should
But
probably
I will
get the book.
say, as a kind of a weird example, in my home game, I have a character who plays the crooked, and it was a fun flavoring because all the characters in my home game are high schoolers, and it takes place in 2010. And the crooked in that game is a popular captain of a cheerleading team, so very Regina George.
Oh. Dixon has
Yeah,
said
she was.
La Femme Nikita, and Thurfland has said the church mice from Dresden. I've also opened up the book to see what they've suggested.
Yeah.
They have suggested Anna Valmont from the Dresden Files and Peter Bishop from The
Mm,
Fringe.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you basically this is a good one because you can in this one pick your background. So you've got the choice
Hmm.
from hoodlum, burglar, grifter, fixer, assassin, charlatan, or just, a simple pickpocket. And then you
Yeah, that
pick
one
your
has a lot of
moves.
different flavors you can
Mm.
do.
And we move along to the divine. These are, I guess, your kind of angelic type creatures. I am the light, the sword. I am sent to defend the meek from darkness. All evil fears me, for I am its end. They recommend Michael Carpenter from the Dresden Files, and Castile was a
Yeah.
really obvious one from Supernatural. Oh,
Castiel, yeah.
Thor is apparently an option. I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, godlike. And yeah, I'll just briefly go through them and say what their examples are. The expert we've already said the best example of this is Rupert Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but they also say Bobby Singer from Supernatural.
You could probably think of also Butters from the Dresden Files,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
the
Good
scientist that's in it.
example. Yeah. Then we have the Flake. This is your conspiracy theorist type, the lone gunman from the X Files, or even Agent Mulder. Those kinds of ones. You can play it like totally crazy red string all over the wall with all that news articles and that kind of thing, or you can play it a little bit more sedate. But there are some
Yeah.
interesting options there.
Casey's not a crazy red tape thing. She's the flake in part of season 2. I just avoided the crazy eyes. But I think for Casey I took Suspicious Mind, which whenever somebody's like lying or we really need to know if they're lying, Casey's never there. It just always ends up that way. So if you take Suspicious Mind, make sure you use it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Don't expect the keeper to remember what your moves are. You
Yes.
totally need to know what your moves are because yeah, if you don't use it, yeah, that's it. We've also
Yeah.
got the Initiate, which is a fun one. The Wardens from Dresden Files, or Annalise from the 20 Palaces series. I'm not familiar with that one at all. But I can tell you that if you follow Regan and Wolf, Jackson Steele is an example of the Initiate. And if you follow role players at all, I play an initiate, Lou, on the Bravo team is an initiate there. Essentially, working for an Amazon type, like, cultish company. But yeah. Oh, my phone is not on mute. Bad me. Now it is.
Hey, all the people who are bored to you should be watching this and should know not to message you.
Oh no, it was a reminder to take a pill. Because I forget. Then we move on to probably the most favorite or commonly picked Playbook, the Monstrous. Angel from Buffy, or Spike, obviously, or Bill Compton from True Blood, or if you follow Rick and Wolf, that's obviously Angus. Um, what else have we got? Shrimp and Crits, that is Ray Ray. Monster Hour season 1, that was oh shit, name blank, name blank.
Yeah, right.
Kyle, who does Kyle play?
Alvin?
Wow. Yes, there we go. Good lord, I am bad. So yeah, so this is great because you can mix and match what kind it is. Essentially, it's the curse. If you have to feed, so it's obviously a vampire type. If you have a vulnerability, what you're vulnerable to, for like werewolves, that could be like silver. If you are pure drive, that's one kind of emotion that you really are driven by. Or if you have a dark master, again, a good example of this is if you are a vampire, your sire could be your dark master, or it could you could go warlock with this, and it could be your evil patron, that kind of thing. And then you
Kira
just
Ash, yeah,
yeah.
Kira Ashwood in our podcast. She started with Monstrous, and believe her curse was a dark master. Somebody was speaking in her head, which later turns out to be a guy in the Infinite Hallway. So,
Ooh.
and I think later John also moved to the Monstrous. I don't know.
Fury Summer, I hope that's how I say it, has said in chat that
Yep.
Rick from Rick and Morty is a monstrous. This is interesting. Can you
Hmm.
elaborate further on how that is? And then yeah, the moves for obviously the monstrous is no Ricky. Trogs, can you feed Ricky? Sorry, everyone listening. Trogs is my ESO and one of the mods. He has to go feed the cat. So the cat will not walk to his cat bowl on his own. Anyway, back to the stream. Fury Summer has said that Rick's drive is pure emotion, proving himself smarter than everyone else. I can see that. Yeah, he doesn't die. He can negotiate with all the monsters in the universe. Wow, this is a very compelling argument here. And I'm not even going to say your nickname again. I am sorry. That they have said similar how I pointed out that Rambo with his pure drive is rage. Ooh. And then they have natural attacks and moves which are specific. You can do anything here. I haven't played this monstrous yet, but I was gonna play one that shifted into antique Victorian wooden furniture.
That would be cool.
Yeah, or
Instead
we
of just
might.
doing like a werewolf or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just to be really different, kind of monstrous. Actually, I think it was Edwardian furniture because I wanted to call him Edward. But yeah.
Ah, that's great. For our Dream Away the Time one shot mystery that Lauren ran for us, I went with Action Scientist, which isn't the main playbooks, but one of the Action Scientist's moves is that I can take a move from another playbook. So I randomly took the shapeshifter from the Monsters playbook. And so it was very like Spider-Man-esque where like there was an accident and I could turn into a werewolf. Well, into a wolf. But I didn't have any of the like protection. So it's just like, I'm gonna fight, and Laura's just like, Maya, your character's dying, and I'm like, I don't care.
I'm a
So,
werewolf.
so be aware. If you only take the shapeshifter move, you might be vulnerable still.
This is true. And we haven't talked about luck moves, but
Hmm.
obviously if you've got a limited pool of luck, or if you've rolled crap and you really want to roll well, you can spend one of your luck points to say you rolled a 12, but then that triggers the special. And for the monstrous, this is fun. When you spend a point of luck, your monster side gains power, your curse may become stronger, or another breed disadvantage may manifest. And for those who follow Regate and Wolf at all, Sean is now scared to spend luck because I make his curse worse by the first instant of it being worse. Because I actually gave him a benefit the first time he spent luck. I gave him he better, but I think you can get better hearing or something. And I gave him better smell as well. One of those anyway. And so I was like, now I will be mean. Whenever you want to shift, because he has two other forms he can shift into the werewolf the bipedal werewolf or the quadrupedal direwolf. And I said, tell me what you want to shift into, and then roll cool, act under pressure. If you make it, you shift into it. If it's a mixed success, you shift into the other one. If you fail, you are stuck in your current form till the next day. He hates
I
it.
like that consequence.
it's
That
to
that would be fun.
It's to show how his curse is even more of a curse in this instance.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
hates it.
I like the consequences in games. Like, if there was no consequence or no, like, bad things that could happen to you, I would be so bored. Like, I would do whatever. I'd be, like, what, a murder hobo and just doing whatever I want. But, like, if I shoot an innocence and then I'm, like, wanted, like, I don't know. The consequences I love. That's the thing I
this is
like.
this is so much fun because you can outright fail, you can sort of succeed, and then you can really succeed. And it's the sort of succeeding and the outright fails which are the most interesting, both as a keeper and
Hmm.
as a player.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we move on. We're at the mundane now. And the mundane is basically the Xander or Cordelia from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The everyday person who, might not deal with these things or just anything. I think a friend played uh, just a young lady who had a trust fund who had a little teacup chihuahua who was always wearing yoga clothing and probably talked a
Oh
little
boy.
bit valley as well. That was our mundane in one campaign we had. But they can actually do really awesome stuff. They are not really mundane. These moves are crazy. They can just stumble over something random that could end up being beneficial. They can always be the victim, which gives them experience. And they can help deal with, the other ordinary bystanders kind of thing. But yeah, the mundane on role players and Bravo team, Jim John Smith, he is so not mundane. He is able to he's our tank basically. He's very strong. He's very overpowered for a mundane. Shout out there to Onyx Robot if you're actually paying attention. And we move along to your favorite, the professional.
Oh yeah.
Examples of this is Riley in the initiative from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or Olivia Dunham from Fringe. Do we have any other examples of this?
Casey Davis.
But yeah,
Uh,
yeah, totally. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like maybe like Will Smith's character in like Men in Black, maybe. I don't know.
I think probably Tommy Lee Jones's character is more the professional. Will Smith's character
Mm,
progresses into the professional. I would
yeah.
say. Scully in X Files and Kara Murphy are good examples. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was obvious. I should have done that.
Obviously, if you do
I
take
that's the
professional, take bottle it up. So says Maya.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's so much fun. Don't be afraid to use it.
Yeah, it is. It does look like it's a really good option. You could probably see a lot of people who want military or law enforcement type options, or any other organizations. I guess it's a good alternative to initiate if you don't want to go for the cultier option. You can go for a more agency type option.
Yeah, and I think that I mean, I can speak all day to this playbook, but this one is unique in that it has like the resource and red tapes with the agency. And with this playbook, the move that you automatically get is the deal with the agency whenever. So like whenever Casey wants to do something, so say like, oh, I want information on like werewolves. Sometimes I'll like be like, hey, can I call ears and ask them? I'll have to roll with the agency. And depending on how I roll, there may or may not be consequences. So Casey has been on house arrest because of a failed uh agency role. So can go
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different ways.
I was on a podcast where we were all working for an agency and everyone got given the deal with the agency thing. But we were also given an additional rating to use with that based on what our current standing within the agency was. So if we were not in
Hmm.
good standing, it would affect that role quite greatly.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I don't know if you guys have heard of Absurdia, which is powered by the Apocalypse Space System, which Quinn from Monster created. And he has a rating system for which you can use based on your reputation with certain different agencies, which are based on stuff like bureaucracy, entropy, and that kind of thing.
Indeed.
I think there's about
Mhm.
four of them. I can't remember what they are off the top of my
Yeah.
head. And so you have different starting ratings for that, and it gets included in your role with your when you're dealing with one of them or trying to do something that involves some people from in that way. And that can, I believe that can shift as well as you go through
Yeah.
the game. But yeah.
Yeah. We recently he ran a game for Lauren, Johnny, and I. So keep an eye out for that episode dropping, I think September-ish. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
Oh, I was also in a game
Yeah.
that he ran for me, and another player for International Podcast Month will be released sometime in September as well. Yay!
Hey.
It's so much fun. I have no idea what I was doing, but I had
Mhm.
so much fun.
Same.
Here we go to the innate magic user type playbook here, which is the spell slinger. We obviously have Harry Dresden from the Dresden Files. We've got Willie. That was
Willow,
probably
yeah.
the gender bent version of Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Alternate
Um,
universe, yep.
yep, alternate universe. Yep. And this one has things like combat magic, which is interesting because you've got spellcasting in D&D. You're like, here is a spell, here is another spell, here is another spell. Whereas with this one, it just gives you kind of like ideas, and you're the one who weaves it together and flavors it how it works for
Hmm.
your character. But
Yeah. The way
yeah.
that we've flavored it for Theo is that like because like Theo can do other things. Like one of the things that I'm kind of proud of for her spells is like Theo has I believe it is blast and wall for like the base effect. And then I chose force, like when she first started out. And it's not that like she can only do force, she just sort of like specializes in
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Theo takes her force and levitates nails and then throws them at you with her magic. So yeah, it definitely gives you like, here's your starting base. Now go crazy.
That explains the character art.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It just randomly came to me and just like she throws arrows, or excuse me, she throws
Nails.
knives. I mean, she could nails. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
do that next time.
But it's not just the spell slinger who can use magic, because
Yeah,
every hunter has the option to use magic if your keeper so allows. I mean, some keepers might not, depending on how high magic or low magic your game is gonna be.
yeah.
And that just again gives just basic ideas, and you flavor it how you want. Example is on role players, my hex character, which is a little bit like a spell slinger, but not quite. The way she uses her magic components is she's a baker. So she uses things like for healing, she has the ghost pepper brownies. For this might
Cool.
sting, which is a move that a hex person has. So,
That's
yeah, so they've got
cool.
to either eat it and she applies the magic as she's feeding it to them, or smear it on
Mhm.
the wound and she applies the magic that way. So it is the component kind of thing. Or if she wants to use like a lightning type thing, she eats pop rocks.
Mhm. That's
That
really
kind of
cool.
example, yeah.
Theo moves from the spell slinger to the hex, and like the thing that we did with this might sting is that like the person gets like a scar, but like doing it that way is very, very interesting. Um, yeah, and like it's not like I think what you sort of were touching on with the spell slinger is that they don't just do magic. Like they also have like the arcane reputation, which is fun. If you pick an organization that you're going to be running into constantly.
Which you
And
probably
like
will,
being
because your keeper will make sure of it, right? Totally.
yeah, totally. Um, and then the not my fault. That was fun because I knew that Theo was going to be messing up. And the third eye, I think, was really helpful. I think third eye might be like my second favorite under Bottle It Up from like a move. And I think third eye is kind of unique in that like you would think that you would roll weird, but you have to roll act under pressure. Or no, read a bad situation
Mm,
in order to like open up your third eye and see invisible things and stuff.
yeah. But I didn't really bother dealing with magic and Regated Morph in the beginning because neither of them took magic options. But our
Yeah.
first guest took use magic as the initiate, and I was like, okay, how do you want to deal with magic? How does your character use magic? And so I'm letting every guest or person who comes in who has magic to work out how their character or their people or type of people wield magic. And in the initiate's case, they consume monster blood to power them to their magic. And he also has a book which he's included spells and rituals in it, which is also another component, and tattoos on his body that move. So when he uses magic, it then bleeds out some of this monster blood that he's consumed out through his magic tattoos. So even though he wears nice suits and white shirts or whatever, he ruins his clothes a lot. And it's also something
Yeah.
that needs to be replenished once he uses too much of it, kind of thing. And I was like, holy shit, man. Okay, yeah, that's great. We'll do that. You can do that. That's fine. So I think it's really great leaving it up to the player, but also, asking them questions and giving them suggestions on how they want to use the magic. That's really fun to see what they come up with. If they use baked goods or if they bleed monster blood out through their magic tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say like after listening to Redgate and Wolf, I think I may have also pulled this advice from when you guested on our book club episode that like leaving it to like the players like okay, like is there a library? Yeah, there is. Like what's the name of the library so that you the keeper don't have to do the work to figure it out. Like I started doing that in my game of just like yeah, you're gonna go talk to like so and so. Like, what's their name? I haven't done that necessarily, but like doing it that way instead of like, oh my god, I have to figure out a place, I have to pick up a name. Like having it the players choose, and then also it feels more like the players' world and like their story, and I think that's really satisfying for everybody.
Yeah. That's something that I've picked up from other keepers as well, especially the ones who are I don't organize jack shit. I just start improvising. So I ask them, "Oh, who would this person be? How do they sound? Are they happy? Adam from Role Players is very much like that. And if anyone's watched our first live streamed one shot on Zero Does Stuff, you would have seen exactly how that happened. He really he just might be like, well, I kind of got an idea for a monster, but you're gonna tell me about everything else in the world.
Yeah.
It takes a load off, I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, moving on to the spooky, which is one I have played and love. These are like they have the psychic or magical powers. So you see things basically. You've got Willow from the earlier seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Can someone tell me about that? Because I really can't remember how Willow was considered a spooky.
Okay. Oh, trying to remember. I watched all of the seasons with Lauren at the beginning of the pandemic.
See, I watched it
I
all when it
mean,
originally came out, so I really can't remember. That was a
so did
long time
she.
ago.
I don't know. I guess when I think of Willow, I think of like the Hex, but
Mm, mm.
um,
I think someone has said one of the brothers from Supernatural starts out spooky with visions and premonitions, because premonitions is one of the moves.
yeah, Sam.
Yeah, okay.
Sam gets visions.
Obviously, I've watched that
Sam.
show. Not really. I've watched some of it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and Mark from the Monsters Playbook, he also starts out as like the spooky. And we really utilized I believe it's telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
So like he always like I think yeah, let me see. Yeah, I think it's telepathy where he like connects with like all of us. So we kind of go on the Mark phone and that's how we talk to each
That's
other when we're
handy.
in different ways. Yeah.
Have a distance without having to worry about a phone. Yeah. I played the
Mhm.
spooky. That was my 15-year-old character who talks to dead people. She literally think so isolated from the world because she was obviously talking to people who weren't there, so she kind of got shunned. So homeschooled, makes friends with ghosts, but not other people easily, kind of thing. So, but otherwise, quite a happy kind of child.
This
But
actually
yeah.
like reminds me. It's been a while since I played it, but in August we have that one shot of the story that Thriflin had written, the Murder on the Dance Floor. My character is actually the spooky, but not in the like stereotypical way of like a person that sees dead people. I kind of spun it where like she's actually like a street magician and sort of like hides her magic by being a magician, like a performing magician. Uh, and how telepathy was very fun because I would put thoughts and like things into people's minds.
Well,
To
Thriftland has just pointed out that Al from
yeah.
Stranger Things would be a very good example. And again,
Hmm.
it's how you flavor it as well, because I decided my character could see and talk to dead people. So Big Mammy is one of the moves there, which is obviously something Al would use with her mind. In my character's instance, I just had to ask a nearby ghost to do something. So the
Hmm.
ghost would be the one who would use force or whatever it is to help someone. Again, flavoring the character, you know, the playbook to match what you've got with the character.
Yeah, or like if you have an idea to go through the playbooks and see which ones maybe fit that.
hmm And you can always, when you level up, there are some options that you can take things from other playbooks. You don't always have to
Hmm.
stick to the everything on the same playbook, which is how you multi-class in Monster of the Week. And then we
Yeah.
have the Wronged. This is the person who has something bad has been done to them or those around them by monstrous supernatural things, and they want to get back at whatever it is that is doing this to them. So you've got Dean and John Winchester from Supernatural, the very obvious ones in this instance. So listeners, that is it. Those are all of the options. See at the very bottom. We're at the
Mhm.
very bottom. Which which playbook do you think we should use? Oh, yeah, someone said John Wick. I didn't want to say it, but we've got the Chosen, the Crooked, the Divine, the Expert, the Flake, the Initiate, the Monstrous, the Mundane, the Professional, the Spellslinger, the Spooky, or the Wronged. Which one should we pick? Do you even start with the playbook, or do you start more with the character's personality, or...
It sort of depends. If I'm working with just like the basic ones, like if we're just so like for a one shot recently, if I just stuck to like the main ones, I'd be like, okay, well, which ones haven't I done? And I would enjoy exploring. So like I've never done the spooky, and I was like, that would be cool. And so that's how it ended up. And like as we're going through this, I was actually thinking I've always wanted to do the wrong, but I don't know,
Hmm.
I've never
Yeah.
had one. And I feel like I would have a hard time with that because like it just I don't know the stereotypical of like oh this person was like done bad by someone and so they want to kill it. But I think I usually start with the playbook because I feel like it'd be harder to have an idea and then try to shove it onto a
Mm,
playbook.
mm.
So I'd probably like go through and be like, okay, well, I haven't played this in a while, or this seems interesting, so like let's go with that.
Okay. So far the suggestions have been the initiate, divine, expert, or crooked. Dixon has just said go for wronged then. It's something you haven't tried, so see how you
I
can
know.
do
I was just
stretching
like,
out of
oh
your
boy.
comfort zone. You really asked for that, didn't you?
I know. I was like, as soon as I say this, they're gonna be like, do the wrong. But you said the chosen, the initiate. No,
No.
right?
The
Crooked.
initiate, divine, expert, crooked, or wronged.
Okay.
Dark
Hmm.
Jaguar has also said the same for the wronged. Should
I
we
know
just
it's
go
getting harder to
wronged?
do the wrong.
Yeah, we'll
I
just do
feel
the
like
wronged.
it.
We'll
I
go
put
the
it
wronged.
out there.
Okay.
My own fault. All right. Let's see. I want to know, do we want to do male, female, or non-binary?
I don't know. What do you think, Chat. Chat was from the one shot we streamed. Chat, what do you think? Gender pronouns? Is that what you start with? Is it? Does you start with the
Yeah,
look?
that's where I would start it, and then I would then maybe Google a name.
You'd Google a
Or
name.
like probably either that or like if there's like so like with Casey, I was just like, oh Casey, like the name Casey sounds good. And but then with like Theo, her real name is Theora, and I
Hmm.
ended up Googling like Greek names and their meaning. Whereas
Hmm.
Casey, I
Hmm.
just picked out of thin air.
Yeah, I often go to babynames.com where you can
Yes.
search for meaning or, all sorts of different ways to do that. And
Hmm.
they have lists. Ventifoot says, do a guy. I've never seen you play a guy.
I think I have in D&D. I guess I've never played a Monster of the Week one as a guy. We're supposed to be playing a Spire game with my friends, and I think I'm being a guy in that one. But all right,
Wolfsbane says, do it.
he, him.
Hey,
Um, all right, let's do. I want to choose a name with an S. So, um, don't want to do Sam. Male names that start with S. Oh, Seth.
we've
I
got
hate it.
some suggestions here from Thriftland. Solomon, Silas. Ventifoot says Simon.
Part of me wants to put Sean.
Which spelling? The Sean of the Sean from Regan and Wolf? Do you know I named a shower after a shower after him in a book I wrote? The
Aww,
character called him
poor
Sean the
guy.
Shower. Yeah.
If anybody in the chat strongly disagrees, I want to name him Sean.
I don't think they'll strongly disagree. We've got some listeners in here, so
All right, I'm gonna just give him just a first name. Ooh, that'd be kind of cool though. Just goes by Sean.
Sean. SHAWN.
Mhm.
Dixon has chewed some bits. Apparently, he likes the idea too.
All right. So like looking over the moves, so the automatic for the wrong, they automatically get I know my prey, so you get +1 going ongoing when knowingly investigating, pursuing, or fighting the breed of monster that caused your loss. So
Werewolves. Werewolves.
I was hey, I don't hate it.
That's what
So
Sean
okay.
did for his one-shot character. He played the wronged, and his character
Are you kidding
was
me?
wronged by werewolves.
Ah! Okay, well then I don't want to do werewolves then.
He does have a sense of
Um,
humor.
what is the chat thing?
What is it? Yeah. What is the
What's
supernatural
the prey?
monstrous creature thing? What is this wronged hunting? What got him or his loved ones, and Nia he is revenging himself upon. Any suggestions, chat?
I
She,
think that whatever this prey is had that Sean had lost his best friend.
Sean's best friend.
Hmm. Um,
Does the best
let's
friend
see.
have a name?
Trying to think. I think I might just do Matt.
Matt. Matt.
Yep.
Okay. Suggestions: slashes, gremlins, and Cthulhu. So Dixon says the gremlins messed with the oven in his house and it blew up. Very sad.
I've never seen the movie. I just want to double check. I mean, if we do Gremlins, we're going a more goofy spin.
Yeah,
Um,
because gremlins, even if they are ferocious, vicious little creatures, they're still little. There's still a lot of them. There's still the chance that you're gonna stomp on them, foot stomp on them, and say some kind of catchphrase. So even then, there's some goofiness to it.
hmm Gremlins are the ones that you don't get wet or you don't feed them.
Both.
Both? Okay.
If you're going by
I
the
don't know.
that movie, yeah. Other suggestions
Yeah.
from Wolfsbane and Dark Jaguar are both the Fae or fairies.
Ooh.
Another suggestion was it got eaten by a human eating plant. Or
I really like the Fae because that leaves, I think, things open-ended because, like, did your friend, like, because it says, like, who did you lose? It doesn't necessarily imply that, like, they're dead. Like, so
sure.
sort of like in the Dresden Files or, like, uh,
And
how
then
do I
it's
put it?
like it
Did they
could
make a
still
deal?
be an individual in the Fae, but you don't yet know which individual it is. It could be the summer court, the winter court. It could be red caps, or it could get really specific, or you can just leave it generalized until you find
Yeah.
out more information. That's good for a long campaign.
Yeah. Plus, like, kind of piggybacking off of that, um, your keeper could always create like something like new, like with um Monsters Playbook, we have there, which is kind of like a purgatory, and there are some kings that rule it, which is I think sort of equivalent to like the Fae for us. So like some of the options for why couldn't you save them is like you are at fault, you are selfish, you're injured, weak, slow, scared, in denial, or
Complicit.
complicit.
Oh,
I definitely want it to be complicated though.
well, at fault seems like a good complicated one, or complicit, because you could say that you'd made a deal and then reneged on it, and so they took someone else you cared about, or
I really like complicit. I like this idea that that potentially a deal that Sean had a deal with a Fae, but something happened where he couldn't meet the deal or whatever, and ended up Matt getting like taken. So then there's also like that guilt of like, oh, this is my
Dick
fault and I need to fix it.
Dixon did point out that you could say that you realized what you'd done and were too slow to stop them. So even if you'd made a deal, you could even put some of these together
Hmm.
because you were too slow to realize. Because it could be something like you've made a deal, but they're so tricksy, it takes you a while to realize that it is costing you much. So the time you realize that, to go and try and undo the deal or change the deal or even to warn Matt has already been taken.
Yeah. So I mean, because it says pick one or more, so we're
Ooh, yeah,
gonna not pick all of them, but I think that Sean is at fault and that it was slow and that it was complicit.
yeah. Obviously, we need to read the instructions more carefully.
But I mean, the nice thing about like Monster of the Week is like it's super flexible. So like
Mm,
you can pretty much do anything. Like if you want to change a move a little bit, like adding flavor, like why not? And I know for Casey, at some point, I think I took a level up that allows me to um, change some sort of aspect of like the agency. So I had them change to either weird gadgets or more offices around the world.
yeah, on role players, there was an instance where we messed up with time so much that our own characters changed and we changed playbooks completely. So my character went from being this tough initiate to being a rather meek expert, but I didn't want her to just be like human. I was like, could she be dead and be a hologram of her living self, which makes her part constructed? And the keeper was like, yeah, shit, yeah, go for it. So I was able to take
Yeah,
part from constructed and put it into expert. So she was like a knowledgeable hologram that represented the meek and mild, version of herself based on, stuff like brain scans and reports and things like that.
yeah. And so I think like adding a bit of flavor to this playbook because kind of going back to we originally went down to this history part because of the I know my prey. I think that over time, Sean, like after this incident happened, he's been trying to learn all he can about the Fae. So that's why he has like the plus one. I always try to like, okay, if I'm picking a move, like I try to pick it like story based.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
don't
mm-hmm.
have to. That's just like what I enjoy the like the consequences and the story development. I know John will pick something and be like, "Oh, this is cool." Like he chose fly because he thought it was cool, which is totally fine. And
Yeah,
then you could like keeper could always work it into like why he has that later.
yeah. So,
Um,
yeah.
so so after that, I would figure out the stat because that I think also impacts the personality of them. So looking down at the rating, um, I don't think Sean is charming.
Okay.
So I think he has a -1.
Negative
Oh wait,
one.
that's only one. Let's see. Okay, either the -1 or the zero charm. Let's see. Cool being action to pressure and helping out. I don't know. Do we think Sean is good under pressure and helps out?
Well, if you want him to be able to fight, I would say probably.
I mean, it's also really funny though if they're not cool but still can kick ass. Because like Casey, I believe her thing was cool and tough, but she was not charming.
Yeah, yeah.
Very stereotypical, putting her foot in her mouth. So I think that's always fun to have, like, to go against the stereotypes sometimes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, in
Like
this
Theo,
instance, the wronged are all +2 tough, so they will at least be tough. It's whether
you
they are able to keep the cool and have any brains And charm, I think, are the ones you probably want to focus on. So,
Mhm. I'm kind of leaning towards that second rating. The zero charm, zero cool, +1 to sharp, +2 to tough, and zero to weird.
mm, that sounds. That
I also feel
sounds.
like I give myself the hard stuff too, because it's more fun. I don't know. If it's like too like was it mid-maxed? Like it's not as fun. If I'm like always succeeding, like plus you can't level up as fast.
Yeah, because you've got to fail in order to level up. And to point
Yeah.
out to people here, a zero doesn't mean you're shit. It just means you're average. A minus
Hmm.
one means you're less than average. +1 means you're just above average. A +2 is you're really good, and a +3, which can happen in some instances, is you are like expert level.
Plus, we haven't picked the moves yet, so there may be moves that will bump up things. So
Mm,
like there's a move in this wrong book that's fervor. When you manipulate someone, roll tough instead of charm. So I can avoid rolling my charm stat
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
almost forever. And instead I can just almost kind of in a threatening way, like
Yeah,
get up in their face. And that's what's charming about them or what's
or
manipulative about you.
intimidation. You can
Yes.
intimidate to manipulate instead.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm not imagining this guy as like a big tough guy. I guess I've got Supernatural stuck in my head and I'm thinking of Dean and Sam a little bit,
Yeah.
where like they're really tough and they're great at investigating a mystery and reading a bad situation, but they're not like I can't think of oh, what's the character that's in Umbrella Academy? The really, really big, tall one.
Oh, I
Maybe
can't
chat
remember
can
his
help me
name,
out.
but yeah, I do remember the one you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, so that's kind of where like I think my mind is forming with this character. Like I just feel like this is some guy that's really trying to um prove like prove that he's not a really shitty person. Like maybe in a past life he was actually the crooked, but now he's the wronged.
He's redeeming himself, wants to redeem himself.
Yes. Yeah. Words are hard. Listen to the
Well,
Monsters
one
Playbook, you'll learn that words are hard for me.
one way that they could show using one of the moves that they want to redeem themselves is never again, to protect
Hmm.
others instead of being selfish and protecting themselves.
Yeah. Let's see. So maybe here, I can read off the moves and maybe Jack can, excuse me, help us out and see maybe which ones Sean is. There's the Never Again, like you mentioned, where they get kind of a bonus or very good at protecting others. There's Berserk, that no matter what happens, you keep fighting despite your injuries. Um, what doesn't kill me, even if you suffer, or when, wait, if you have suffered harm in a fight, you gain +1 ongoing until the fight is over. So even though you're harmed, you get bonuses to being harmed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fervor, you do tough instead of charm for manipulating. Safety first, you have jerry-rigged extra protection into your gear, giving you a +1 to armor. Never a bad idea to get some armor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
uh, Hey, if the chat screams at me, I really like Fervor. No, I lied. I very much lied. I'm sorry, chat. I didn't mean to. Safety first. Safety first is what I think that Sean needs.
Okay.
I think he's very not suspicious, but just paranoid. So like has to have things like built in
He's
just in
he's a
case. 'Cause
vigilante. He's like, kick ass, but actually trying to armor up instead of just wearing stupid gym jams.
well, because also like he made this deal with the Fae, but then he kind of screwed the Fae over, which then took his best friend Matt. So like he's got to be paranoid.
Mm,
Like,
mm-hmm,
are
mm-hmm,
they gonna
mm-hmm.
come after him? Because I don't know, the Fae are very tricksy, and a deal's a deal. You gotta pay it back somehow. And then the last two moves is DIY surgery. Um, when you do quick and dirty first aid on somebody, you have to roll cool. And depending on how you roll, you get an option of healing that you get to do. That you get to stabilize the injuries. Uh, they heal +1 and stable for now, but will return to 2 harm and become unstable again later, or heal negative harm and stabilize, but the patient takes -1 ongoing. So you get the -1 to their roll. So essentially, like if they broke their leg, maybe you splinted it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still going to be a hindrance. And then tools matter. With your signature weapon, um, you get a +1 to kick some ass. I don't think Sean would take that one.
You don't?
Casey, yes. No. I don't know. I'm just imagining this like just almost everyday guy that suddenly has to deal with the Fae. But I am this is a collective character. So I got to choose safety first, and I will let chat choose the other one, and we will create a story and character from there.
Yeah. So
Are
what
there
do you guys
any
think? Do you
screams up
want
there?
Berserk or Never Again? Never Again is cool because if he's wanting to protect others, he doesn't even have to roll. He automatically gets a +10, a
Mm-hmm.
10 plus rather.
Yeah, it's like the heart helping hand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
That one's for like helping.
yeah. Which the mundane and role players has, which makes him OP. Because he also took the initiate move that gives you a +2 to something. I've forgotten. I have
The
it too, and I can't remember.
something power of the heart.
It looks like most people are either going with Never Again or Further.
Okay.
So
And
far, it's 3-2. So Never Again.
so never again is winning right now. So in combat, you may choose to protect someone without rolling, as if you had rolled a +10, but you may not choose to suffer harm.
Which is okay, because you've got your +1 armor,
Mm-hmm.
which usually negates 1 harm.
All right.
Depends on if it's an ignore armor harm that is done to you.
All right. So let's do never again, if that's
Okay.
what the chat has declared and demanded.
Yeah. The chat has spoken.
And then I guess like the last thing, one of the last things, because if we were in the whole campaign, we'd try and we would do the history of how you know all the other hunters.
You forgot. We
But
need to pick some gear.
oh, what? Oh yeah, yeah. I was getting to that.
Ah!
Uh, let's see. Hmm. Signature weapons. Okay, so let's see. Pick one signature weapon and 2 practical weapons. You have protective wear suited to your look worth 1 armor. If you want, you may take a classic car, a motorcycle, plain pickup, or a plain van. Ooh.
So
I mean,
what you've just said is because of our safety first, we now have 2 armor?
I believe so. Yeah, because it says in the safety first thing, maximum 2 armor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
would add on top of it. But then what kind of I'm gonna vote that we don't do a van. I've done a van before for the mode of transportation. So do we want a classic car? Do we want a classic motorcycle? Or do we want a plain pickup?
I don't know. It depends on if he's a loner or if he's a team player, doesn't it?
Oh, I've been thinking of him as a lone player.
Okay, motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like they want pickup though,
Oh,
according to chat.
oh, pickup. Okay, we can do a pickup. I mean, it could be a 1 seat pickup. I like pickup. Callie also agrees she likes pickup. She's behind me. You can't see her, but you can probably hear her. All right. So Sean is driving a plain pickup. I don't know why, but I'm imagining red.
Signature weapon?
Yep, it's a signature
Ooh.
weapon. They're a
Sawn off shotgun.
sawed off shotgun, hand cannon. uh, fighting knife, a huge sword or axe, a specialty weapon for destroying your foes, enchanted dagger, or chainsaw. We only pick one of those. I feel like a
You'd,
chainsaw would be
you'd,
so silly, but in a good way.
yeah, that's
I don't
that's
know what.
Ash from Evil Dead. You've basically got there. A very good example of a wronged. Um,
Hmm.
you would.
So,
We've got the Fae, right? So the Fae are weak to what? Is it iron? We probably a specialist
yep.
weapon makes sense here.
Yeah, but do we want to help our character or do we want to make it difficult?
Mm, mm. This is true.
I like I like to make things hard for myself. I think chat, what do you think? I think either a chainsaw or an enchanted dagger could be interesting. Like maybe it's something that they took from the Fae and that's part of
Oh, yep, yep.
why he's very paranoid. Or do we want to go to a do a specialty weapon? So like for it would do 4 harm against specific creature targets. So we could say iron for the
Hmm.
Fae. Um, and it does 1 harm otherwise. Other tags are agreed upon with the keeper.
Yeah.
So
Dixon has said specialist weapon, true iron dagger, or some Fey weapon that he actually got in exchange for his deal. Like, all I got from the Fey was this weapon, and all it cost me was my best
it
buddy
was my best
Matt.
friend. You're worth more. You're only worth a weapon to me, Matt.
But would they give him one that could hurt the Fae? So I would say it would probably have to be an enchanted dagger in that instance if he got it as part of the deal. Because I didn't think the Fae
I'm
would give you something that would be able to really hurt themselves.
I'm in love with the idea that at some point during his interaction with the Fae, he stole an enchanted dagger from from them.
And they thought it was Matt.
And well,
And they took Matt. And he's like, fuck!
I think because Sean has ducked out on his deal and he took the weapon, they like took his friend. Like I think he's just kind of digging himself a grave.
Mm, mm.
Because I don't know, in my mind, like Sean wasn't a great person.
Oh, you know what would be a funny weapon? An iron shovel. Imagine carrying that around. A full on giant. It'd be a
And that's his
spade, wouldn't it?
specialty weapon.
Yeah. He could be called the digger.
Or or it could be is it oh my god. What is the ice spade? Um for like
Trowel. Someone suggested.
ice
Wolfsbane suggested a trowel.
patrol. I I like the idea of an ice chopper. Like you know the thing that's like it's flat and you to get I guess I don't know if it's more of a Minnesota thing, but like we have one where it's just flat. It's like a shovel, but if you flattened it and you like smash it against like the ice to get it to break up.
It's more,
But
it
a
doesn't quite
shovel,
get that cold where I am, so.
yeah, I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna explain this. Or we could do an iron pitchfork.
Yeah, pitchfork. That would be even harder to explain carrying around. And he has a little scabbard for it on his back, and he can pull it away and spin it around, and he treats it like a
Okay, but
trident.
that would point out how paranoid he is.
But he's
That would
already got 2 levels of armor. He's already gonna look
yeah, but
paranoid.
okay, but like one of them is it's suited to your look, and the safety first, it's a jerry rig, so it's not completely out there. I mean, he might be wearing
He could have been a
lunch trays
farmer.
on his chest, but
He could have been
yeah,
a farmer, and it just happened upon a mushroom circle, and
I
one
feel
thing
like
led
this
to another.
character I feel like for Sean, I'm pulling inspiration from the Iron Druid Chronicles.
I have
It's a book
read some of
series.
that, so I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
I just because that character is running away from it's not the Fae. I forget the name of those characters, but he's hiding. So it's
Mm.
kind of like this, but he's also going after them. What's the chat saying? What are they thinking? They've convinced me to do a
Chat
special
is
weapon.
what suggested Farmer Sean. Thriftland has said he's got like battered biker levers with stapled metal bits.
Hmm.
His own version of Kevlar, I guess.
He's like out of Mad Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the pickup
Um
fits with the farmer idea too, Dixon points out.
So what I'm hearing is that we're doing a specialty weapon that is a uh farming no, not a hoe.
You want a hoe
Pickaxe.
now?
No.
Pickaxe? What
A
is he?
hoe
It's a
would be
wolf?
very funny. Not a pickaxe. Oh my gosh. Pitchfork.
Pitchfork. Yep. So you
Yes.
want a specialist weapon pitchfork.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
But remember, we've
It's
got
like
two practical weapons, and one of them is still shotgun, which is not sawn off, but still, it's 3 harm, close, messy, loud.
so this is what I'm imagining, and this is how my Pinterest board for this character would start. Is that I would search for red old pickup trucks, and the pitchfork would be, have you ever seen where they stereotypical where they mount a shotgun to like the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
back of
Yep.
it
Yep. Yep.
instead of the shotgun it's this pitchfork, and but the shotgun is under the seat.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a shotgun. We
And
just need one other weapon.
uh, I think if we're going practical farmer guy, you would need a big knife, surely.
Yeah.
Some things are just easy decisions, chat. Some things just fall into
I feel
place.
like I feel like the practical weapons have always been pretty easy, whereas the like
Mm.
signature one, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like
Mm-hmm.
it's more it really influences which direction the character is gonna go.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I already have a Pinterest starting in my head. I know I think from here, now that I've like kind of built out his story, I would start looking on Pinterest to get inspirations of like what he actually looks like. But one of the options or one of the things that you can do here is like, look, pick one from each like list, which Monster of the Week is so fluid, so you don't need to pick one thing. So like you get choose sad eyes, icy eyes, angry, untouchable, emotionless, hurt, harrowed, and then whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like he is paranoid,
Paranoid
haunted
eyes.
eyes. Yeah. Like I think he's definitely one of those people that his head's a little bit on a swivel.
Yeah. I don't think paranoid haunted eyes will fit in. What
Make
is
it
it?
really small. But I think haunted. No. I lied again. Paranoid. I think
Paranoid?
he's very paranoid.
So
Yeah,
really
he made a deal.
shifty, crazy eyes.
Yeah, he made a deal with a magical creature. One day we can level him up and he can take crazy eyes from the lake. And it'll be great.
Yeah.
Um and I mean, yeah, we've talked
Clothes.
about that he has a bunch of like gear and stuff as far as his clothes. So I think it's maybe somewhere between hunting gear and army surplus.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's his outfit. Maybe definitely has like a what the orange like the orange
Viz.
camo
High
jacket
vis.
maybe, or a Carhartt jacket.
Yeah. And then when you've done that and you know what your what the other characters are in the party, then you go around and you do the history, and they've got lots of suggestions, and they're usually based on the characters' playbooks. Whoops. So they are slightly different. And if, I find though that sometimes they don't always work. And if that's the case, I might go, you give me a history from your playbook, then we won't bother using one from my playbook, or we'll just try and make something up, which often means something like, you're my mum, which has happened twice now to me in 2 games with Mr. Ray. So, yeah, that happens.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know sometimes we start with one idea and then in the collaboration of like how we know each other, it like twists and turns. Like, I know when we were doing bonds in our upcoming Absurdia one shot, Lauren and I were having a hard time figuring out how our two characters were um related or how they connected. So we just made up our own, just like, oh, her
Mm-hmm.
character wanted my
Mm-hmm.
wanted one of my pieces of jewelry. So yeah, I think that's. I mean, I've touched on this so many times. That's the thing that I like about Monster of the Week. Like it's so flexible and it's very story driven. It doesn't punish you. It's what is it? You fail up. Uh,
Yes, yes. You fail from you level up through failure because you've
yep.
I don't know what the exact words are, but you get what I mean, right?
You get
Failure. You
better
learn from
through
your
your failure.
mistakes.
Yes, we got there.
We got there. And also the keepers part of the keepers agenda is that they are a fan of your hunters. So they should be open to these ideas you've got. They should be going yes and or no but and suggest something else that could be better or just as good or because it is a shared world. I don't think you can really break the world, and even if you do, that's part of the story, right?
It depends. Johnny always makes the jokes that we tend to break the rules of Monster of the Week. But I mean, just have fun with it. Have
Mm.
fun with your characters, have fun with the story. Like if you're not having fun, like do it a different way. Kind of like we touched on with like Theo, like yeah, she can do 4 spells, but then like what else can she do? How do you make this game more enjoyable for you and the other people? You don't need to stay in the playbooks lines. You don't need to be Dean Winchester, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You can be uh, Buffy the Werewolf Killer, Buffy the Zombie Slayer. I don't know. Just like have fun, and even if you have like super crazy ideas, you can also like ask your keeper or other players for help. There's definitely a lot of times where I've asked Johnny, "Hey, is this interesting?" or "I have this idea. What can we do with it?" Same with like Lauren and John. Um, your who you play with is who you like trust and are going to interact with and create a really cool story and grow with and uh just make sure that the people you're playing with is trusted and you talk. I learned recently about safety tools.
Oh,
Those are
so have
important.
I. Yes, this is more of a recent thing for me
We're-
too. Obviously, there are none in Renegade and Wolf, but yeah.
we didn't do them either, but we will be covering those in a future um book club episode. We'll have a couple people on to talk about that, as well as some other future things. We've been editing episode that I'm very excited for. Um, but yeah, I think after trading this Sean, I might have to keep this in my back pocket and pull it up in some sort of one shot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just would quickly go on some of the options for the history here. They helped you with a critical point in your quest for revenge. Tell them what they needed help with. So you obviously see these are how they are tied into the archetype of each playbook. They stood between you and what you needed to find out. Ask them why. This is an excellent way to start off some kind of not exactly a rivalry, but a dislike between the characters, but they still
Tension.
have to work together. Yes, tension, conflict.
Hmm.
They also lost a friend or relative to these monsters. Ask them who it was. And it'll be interesting to see because your wronged will go about it in one way, but their character might be dealing with it in a completely different way. Obviously, you are
Hmm.
not doing it in quite as healthy a way as they might be doing it, for example.
Yes.
Relations, close or distant, tell them exactly what. That's a fairly common one across most playbooks, isn't it?
Yeah. Part of me like doesn't like that one because it feels like just really easy and I don't know. Sometimes it's okay, but I feel like the instances where I've had that, I'm kind of like meh about it. But
I mean,
if you make it maybe
it's
goofy, it's okay.
it's obviously in there because you've got supernatural. They are. It follows a family. It follows two
True.
brothers and for a little bit there their
Yeah,
father. So that makes
you
sense
got me
there
there.
for the
Hmm.
archetype. You saved their life back when they were a pathetic newbie hunter. Ask them what you saved them from. That could be a good way for another hunter to say how they were introduced to the supernatural monsters. So you're also helping to build another player's hunter's background. You respect their hard earned knowledge and often come to them for advice. Whoa, there you go. You've got a mentor or
I
someone
love that.
you respect. They showed you the ropes when you were learning how to fight. That's an obvious one for the archetype as well. They saw you absolutely lose it and go berserk. Tell them what the situation was and ask them how much collateral damage you caused. This is
Cool.
interesting because that could also make the other hunter very wary of you.
Yeah, definitely
You
go
might fall
twice.
off that wagon again and go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mm.
Okay. I have one thing, and I'm wondering, not to throw a curveball at you, well, live, but I have an image
You
that
have
I
an image.
think
You've
Sean
found
is.
Sean. Okay. Should Is it in the Google Doc? Are you wagging him to the Google Doc? Should I turn
Let
off the
me
PDF?
let me open it. Okay. Let me there. I don't know. Do you want me to post the picture or the
Yeah.
link?
Post the picture.
Post the picture. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be quicker.
Let's see if it'll do it. There we go. Lauren's gonna scream at me, but I don't care.
Where is it? Where'd he go?
Um,
Oh,
oh, do I need to put it up above or you
no,
got
I
it?
found him. I found him.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the actor's name. Don't yell at me. Hugh Dancy.
Ah,
That's the actor from Hannibal.
I feel like
So
I watched or listened to something just the other night where someone said that their character should be played by I watched the Critical Role San Diego Comic Con panel, and I think Taliesin said it for Percy. No, someone said it. Anyway, for one of the Vox Machina characters or something like that.
I
Dixon
mean,
says he looks hungry. How the
he looks devastated to me.
He
He looks
looks
beaten
like
up,
yeah,
disheveled.
he's about to give up.
It it almost looks like he's in the back of a truck. Almost.
Yeah, I think
But yeah,
that's really good. It encapsulates. I think a little bit younger than what I thought when we were creating, but yeah, that works. I think that works.
I'll look for some red pickups and maybe some other inspiration photos and I'll share it on your Cast Chunky channel.
Fair enough. Okay. Is there
Mhm.
any other questions the chat has for Maya? Because we've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours now. Can't believe it. Just flies by, doesn't it?
Hey, I can talk forever about Monster of the Week or my
Hmm.
characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I adore them. I do. think I did touch on it a little bit, but I feel like one of the important things when you're making your Monster of the Week character is put a little bit of something of yourself in it, because then it'll be easier to kind of get into character as well as like get you invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I am
Mm-hmm.
too invested in my characters,
Oh, yep.
but 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 it's easy to get into them, and it's really enjoyable to play them and watch.
Okay, we've had some comments from the chat.
Yeah.
Dixon says Miah needs to hydrate because we know she's thirsty. And Wolfsbane redeemed hydrate, and so did Dixon. So we've got to hydrate twice here. Because apparently
I've been drinking
you
so much.
you're thirsty.
We might have to end the stream soon because I'm almost done with a whole large Diet Coke and my water bottle.
Oh,
So
so you need to pee. Got it.
I do. But very random, like keepering podcast question for you. When you are running a game, how many drinks do you have on your like table or desk
Oh,
when you
okay.
play?
We also have to hydrate 3 more times. Rosie, Dark Jaguar, and then Rosie again picked hydrate. They really want you to pee.
When's the next time that Rosie's on stream?
13th of August.
I'll make sure to be there.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually
I
thinking of
think I'm gonna
putting
finish
up
the story up.
different Kiwi Coin redemption options for when we stream one shots so that it could affect gameplay. That's my hope at least. But we'll
That would be cool.
see. Dixon says, "Oh, revenge will be wet."
Oh.
So what you asked, how much do I drink? I don't actually drink that much. I might
Mhm.
get through just one glass of water, and it's only recently that
Okay.
I've started hydrating while recording or streaming. I know Sean yesterday had a few drinks. During stream, but I can't remember what he drank during stream. There was a seltzer. I think it was
Did he
non-alcoholic.
did he
He,
go with my recommendation
yeah,
of Bloody Marys and coffee mix?
no. But for those watching, what happened yesterday was Sean started drinking Bush Light from 1700 hours, which was about 2-3 hours before we started recording. He had 5 of them, started
Oof.
sending us selfies of him in the kitchen with drinks and alcohol that he found. He also had a big bottle of iced coffee, which he said he was going to drink during the recording, but he drank before it. He drank something else and the seltzer. So, and he reckons we found out today that he usually pees twice a day, but this summer he's only been doing it once a day. I don't know where he keeps it all
I
because
think he
he
needs to go to a
drinks a
doctor.
lot of liquid because that's also on top of all the coffees he drinks while he's at work, which apparently is a high number. And the water he's drinking, because he has a gallon or two of water at work. I don't know where he's putting it all because he's only 5'7", and does he he must sweat it all out. I mean, he's in Florida. I guess he sweats a lot of it out, but come on.
Yeah.
We're going to hydrate again, Rosie.
Ah, dang it. Well, I'm glad I brought 2 water bottles in.
Yeah. Any other questions there, people? It doesn't look like we have any at the moment. I need to burp. Pardon me. Sorry, guys. But anyone who's recorded with me knows that happens. What else?
I used to do that.
I will quickly share my schedule. See, I was trying to say share and schedule at the same time, and I got scared.
I'm
Quickly,
gonna scare you with my schedule.
yeah, yep, because it's full of Monster of the Week. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, we have a Regate and Wolf listen and craft party where I will cross stitch while we listen to episode 9 of Redgate and Wolf. There's also a little bit of chatting and text, and also there's a bit of talking before and after. It's fun. Come and watch. I am cross stitching the album cover for the podcast. It is my first pattern I've ever made. It has taken fucking forever because it's was more than I expected. Uh, this is how it happens every Sunday, and the following Sunday we'll listen to episode 10. But then on Saturday, the 13th of August, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, we will be live streaming a one shot, one of Mr. Ray's one shots that he has written, and he will be running it for myself, for Rosenberger, who's in the chat at the moment, who Miah has just declared she's now his arch nemesis, and Onyx Robot, who also hangs out in here, and you guys know him if you listen to role players as Jim John Smith from Bravo Team, the overpowered mundane. So catch that out. Wow. Rosie will hydrate forever, Dixon says. I got
That's
100
nice.
bits cheered from Dixon for my great burp. This will encourage me to burp more on stream. Thank you, Dixon. Everyone can thank you for that. Rosie says, don't forget to bring a towel. Wow.
I thought you were just about to say that he said, like, hydrate more. I'm like, thing he doesn't know about me and about Casey is that we hold grudges. Thank goodness his character, you know what, in Redgate and Wolf.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we should go. It's been 2.5 hours since we started. Not that you were able to talk for the first 10 or so minutes. But thank you very much, Miah. Miah from the Monsters
Yeah.
Playbook. Please pimp all of your things. Go.
Oh my god, no pressure. So, I am from the Monsters Playbook. I am the player and editor. I play Casey Davis and Theo Nessos. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Monsters Playbook or on Twitter at Monster Playbook. We also are in Discord. You can find us in Cast Junkie as well as our own Discord. I don't know how searching on Discord works, but you can go to our website and find all of the links. It's just themonstersplaybook.com. If you like my sweatshirt and want one, you can get a Monsters Playbook sweatshirt. We have a merch store. And we also have coffee if you want to support us that way.
That's
Yeah.
ko-fi.com/.
Yes.
What's your /
Monsters Playbook,
There you
I
go.
believe. We just recently learned that it's coffee and not Ko-fi.
Yep.
So
Definitely Ko-fi. Ko-fi in New
yes.
Zealand is a yellow flower that grows on a tree, and it's spelled Kowhi. So whenever someone was saying Ko-fi, I was like, what the fuck?
That's funny. That's awesome. But yeah, it was wonderful being on the show. And
Uh,
I had fun talking about my characters, and if anybody has any more questions, feel free to hit me up in our Discord or in the Redgate Discord. I'm always creeping around.
yeah,
I
that folks,
will.
she's a
You
creeper.
said you're sometimes. I'm a thirsty creep. Oh, I hate that. God, I wish this was edited. But yeah, I hope to see some of you friendly faces in our channel or else if anything in the Redgate channel. And don't be afraid to say hello. We love new friends.
Yeah. Thank you very much for agreeing to be on the stream. And I mean, I had a great time having you. You were lovely. You did a lot of the talking, which is always great.
I've had a great time until Rosie made me drink all that water and then now I have to pee. But you
Yeah,
know what? Water.
that's life. Rosie
Yeah.
happens.
It's like a double-edged sword, that command or whatever. Like it helps you stay hydrated, but then it also makes you need to
Yep.
go to the bathroom.
Water goes in, water goes out. Also want
Or
to
in
give
Sean's
a
case, it doesn't.
yeah, it doesn't. Also a quick spoiler. Maya's going to be an upcoming guest on Red and Wolf. Ooh, I wonder what playbook she will play. I could never guess which playbook she would pick.
I mean, now I want to play Sean, but I'm already in love with the one I made.
That'd be hella funny if you did play Sean. Maybe on a one shot. We could have Sean
Ooh.
on another one shot on the stream, and you could stream as Sean one shot. That'd be hilarious.
Yep.
Maybe
I
that
mean,
could
I
be
would.
a community challenge for the chatters. I could set that up if they donate enough of their Kiwi coins to achieve that. We could have Miah and Sean on a streamed one shot, and Miah could play Sean the Wronged.
Like,
But it won't get
oh,
confusing.
that'll be so hard because like I have so much Casey ingrained in me that I'm gonna want to kill and murder everything, but with Sean I can't
Only the Fae.
because
You could
yeah,
accidentally kill other things though,
I could, and
especially
oh,
children.
that'll probably be. I do want to point out, as we're wrapping up, the wrong special is
Mm.
that I find a dangerous lead on my prey. So that's interesting.
Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 That is interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
save your Kiwi coins from doing the hydration and do it towards the one shot. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, the benefits outweigh in one side than the other, I think.
Dixon says, hang on, what has everyone been saying? Uh, um, Dixon says, "Oh, do more of these make a character streams, and then get everyone who made one together and do a one shot." Oh, yes, that's a really
That
great
would be
idea.
fun. Do we want it to be where the person comes on and makes it on stream, or do we make it and then give them the character? And then
Oh,
it would be interesting to see
just
how they like spin and take it their own.
I think this is Maya saying, "I want to come back and make another character and just give it to some
Yes.
other poor, unfortunate player who will play it in a one
Okay.
shot."
Okay, hear me out. The other playbooks that the chat had chosen was the Crooked,
The
the
divine.
Chose,
No,
the
no
Divine.
chosen. The
Dang it!
crooked, the
The Divine and
divine,
Initiate.
and the
Initiate.
it might have been expert.
Yes, you're right. Whatever. Those books. We'll look back in chat. We can make those ones.
The initiate and the expert, apparently. I don't know. Or it could have more guests and get you all to come
That's true.
back and play on this one shot. I don't know. We could get Adam to run it, so I guess I'd have to make a character.
I might be able to convince Johnny to do it too.
To be a
Either character or
character or
run it.
run it. Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
We should probably go though. We'll now wave awkwardly at the camera. This is how it always ends. While we wait for the goodbye screen to come up. So thank you
I wish
everyone. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the bits, the cheering. Thank you for the hydration, and thank you to the new followers. Hopefully, yeah, I'll see some of you back tomorrow for the listen party for Rick and Wolf. Yay! Now let's wave awkwardly. Goodbye. Bye.